Shut up and sit down.
Let's start on that. Welcome to the One Punch podcast with the intro of Dog's Balls from none other than our special guest, Mr. Saul Milton from Chasing Status. Also, obviously, Mr. Brad Pickett and me back together again, mate. Have you missed me? 2 weeks without each other.
Yeah, it's gone really slow.
It's been hard, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've shed a couple of tears, Went up to that room, smelt the cushions, to keep your scent.
I know, mate. Look at this.
I've been there, though. I hear you.
That's it. Well, actually, because you are one part. You're Chase. That's right, isn't
correct,
it?
Yeah.
So how did the name Chase come about then? Because one's Chase, one's Status, obviously.
Yes. Not very interesting. Just when we were younger, we used to do graffiti, and those are our tags.
Yeah, oh, nice. That is interesting, mate. See, that's somebody who's lived a life that classes art/vandalism as not very interesting.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's moved away from vandalism these days. But I guess my skills would have been clearly vandalism. So I've got some good friends who are still writers. And
where's the strangest place you've ever decided to tag? Okay. Riskiest.
Okay, riskiest. The stupidest. We were young and stupid. We broke into a school very near my house and tagged it. I was going to say vandalised it, but we tagged up the toilets and whatnot. And the thing about when you're doing graffiti, you want people to see it.
Yeah, of course.
So breaking into a private school somewhere that no one's going to see is just the stupidest thing you could ever do. So I think the 12-year-old me was a bit of an idiot.
Please tell me at least we're site specific and you did something in Latin or something so they could learn while they're reading your graffiti.
It was a character. I did the character as well. A terrible character and a terrible tag. So.
Nice. Was it big? Was it
it was massive. Can? It was huge. It was awful. Yeah. So there's a reason why that didn't become the career.
Okay, so you wasn't trying to become a Banksy or anything like that?
No. I wish.
So obviously you're part of Chasing Status, which is phenomenal. You must still pinch yourself doing what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're very blessed to do what we do. This year is actually our 14th year of releasing music for a living. So next year is 15 years, and yeah, it's quite crazy to say that. It is surreal to think that we never intended to have big success and headline festivals and all that. We just a couple of mates who wanted to DJ at a nightclub called The End in West Central Street. We wanted to DJ there, DJ at Bagley's, and just make drum and bass jungle. That was our thing. And before that, when I was younger, I wanted to play guitar in front of people, and it's what kind of happened, and more.
How nuts.
So we just still the same old. We're just still in here working. Our fourth album came out last week, or on the 18th, and it went in number 7, which we're very happy about. And to still be about doing 4 albums is. It is an achievement. We're very proud of that, and it's lucky, man. I see a lot of people don't make 1 or 2 albums, and to still be going out week in, week out, busy, lots of DJ gigs. I've forgotten how many, can't even tell you.
I use that Love Box.
Yeah, we headline Love Box, and we just done Creamfields and V, and we have a residency every Tuesday, which is a day in Amnesia in Ibiza, 16 weeks of the summer.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday, 16 weeks of summer, bam.
Wow, you couldn't pick a more local residence.
No. There are local places, but it's a real special place to do one. So, yeah, man, we're very blessed and very happy.
So, 14 years together as a duo, yeah?
Well, releasing music.
So, how long have you been together as a duo?
We have been friends since 1997.
Wow.
97, 98. And we have been making noise since 2001, 2002 together, and our careers began in 2003 when our first record was picked up and released.
Nice.
All very underground for many years, and
that's
hopefully
cool. That's the work, and
continue.
that's the grind. That's where that's the bit where you put all the work in there, building that relationship. I suppose getting your own voice is something similar to comedians. You've got to build your own brand and build your own audience and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It takes a while, and that underground stuff is still our biggest passion today. So our new record has got a lot of that on there, and there's a lot more coming from us as a nod to where we're from. And I think that to have longevity as a musician, I'm sure it appeals in other facets, is never forget where you're from, never forget what you're about, and stay true to yourself. The minute you start chasing chart position or start chasing success or start chasing that money fight kind of vibe, it's usually the downward. You know, just got to be true to yourself, and your fans and people who support you should stay with you for the journey. You know, because it's legit. I like to think.
That's cool. I've got to ask one question, because you've been a duo for a long time. Now, if there was another, say, pair working together quite closely, quite often, one is athletic, achieved a lot, very talented. The other one is Brad Pickett. What advice would you give, like a new couple? Hey.
Well, you know what?
We met on Grindr.
Grindr, yeah. Will and I, we're both married.
You just putting that out there. We met on Grindr. He's not in the studio. Just letting you know, lads.
There's a
just
reason.
letting you know.
I've been there. And we're both married to our lovely wives, but our relationship is like our first marriage. Our wives are our second marriages, because we've been doing this for a long time together, and we've kind of become like family, like your brothers. So you know each other inside out, and there's not many people apart from our wives, I think, who know us as well as we know each other. And it's funny, when we started, we were very similar on not just musically and what we were into, but socially and how we were as people. And you know, we were 17 years old.
Same football team?
No, he's Arsenal.
Oh, mate.
And I'm Liverpool.
Oh, there we go.
So we'll leave you out of this one.
Yeah.
But
well, you beat them last week.
That's
right.
That's right.
Must have been a great day for you then.
Yeah, but then again, he took a load of notes off me for the Conor fight, which we'll get onto in a bit. So we're even Stevens there. You know, my wife's a massive red, and they text, and he texted her, "Let's not speak about today," and I said, "Let's not speak about Saturday."
Yeah. So fair enough.
The same thing. But when we began, we were very similar, and as time's gone on, we become very different as people. But when it comes down to this, we are exactly the same. Same music, same vibe, into the same things, and I think that's the most important thing. We've managed to grow as people and become very different, and therefore bring different things to the table on that regards, even business and how we think about things and approach things. And when it comes down to this, we're the same.
That's wicked.
And on a real, I guess, like cliche, cheesy level, out of everyone we ever meet in this industry, we've got each other's backs foremost. And really, the band, the full-time band, is me, Will, and Patrick, MC Rage, who was often training at Urban Kings. And that's it. That's us. And when we're with a live band, Andy Gangadine, our drummer, is also full-time. But week in, week out, it's me, Will, and Pat. And that's the core. And as long as we got each other's backs throughout, and for the future, then that's all that counts.
That's wicked, man. That is. See, look, as long as we got each other's backs, we'll be
that's
okay.
Right.
You all right with that?
I'll take you back and check you out. I don't mind that.
You've done that on the podcast already. I don't know if you witnessed that. So let's talk about fighting, because this is something that because you set this up. You set this up, and you're mad into MMA. Is that right?
I'm obsessive into MMA, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. So where did you two meet then? Was this Cage Warriors or one of the UFCs?
It wasn't. It was. We were both front row at the Conor Floyd London press conference.
Oh.
Which I was very grateful to Audi, Attar, and the UFC for hooking up such great seats for me. I wasn't actually expecting to be spitting distance from the two.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And it was incredible. It was a real moment, and I'm very, very, very happy I got there to soak in the atmosphere.
Oh, it's crazy. I was there as well.
Yeah, it was
just nuts.
It was amazing.
Even to see him, because what I liked about the London press conference is he stepped into a boxing ring.
Yes,
that was the thing.
There was lots of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously I'm a big Conor fan, and we all know what happened. And I guess we'll get into that. But you know, how can you not love Floyd as well? He's a character. He's brilliant. Yeah. Obviously, forget him as a fighter, but the whole thing, you know, that they really work well together, feeding off each other, and even just the braggadocious kind of vibe where he's got 1.2 on his wrist, and I was thinking, got 1.2 on his wrist. He's got a lot more around his neck.
Not like my Casio right here, you know.
This is actually pretty much this grades us in statuses, because let's put your chasing statuses, we'll call it. Watch there we go. That looks
nice,
pretty bling. That's got diamonds,
gold Rolex,
Rolex, Casio. Nothing over here, mate.
Yeah,
nothing,
but the Casio is timeless, you know. 100% time, and that will keep better time than this Rollie. 100%. Yeah. It's not even a debate.
Also, I could do a bit of calculating stuff. You know?
You got your calculator on there.
Exactly.
The time's wrong. It's literally just there. If anyone asks me the time, honestly, I go, yeah, 1 minute. I get my phone. I don't even look at my watch.
So but same here.
Yeah,
you know?
I always get my phone. Yeah, it's just there.
Yeah, I don't wear a watch out of principle. Apparently, no, I wouldn't say it's a principle. I don't know what you call it. I wouldn't say principle. Maybe I read something that people who wear watches are more stressed about being on time, which makes
my
sense.
mind's wrong.
Yeah, so you flipped it completely.
Yeah, flip.
Yeah, I've become pretty bad at timekeeping.
Yeah.
Which is not a good trait.
Yeah, it's all good. So let's talk about a big fight, because we've got some listener questions which we'll dig back into your music. We'll talk about your album, a bit about how you make the music as well. Will be interesting. But let's not. I just can't wait to talk about this.
Where did you watch it?
Where did you watch?
I watched it at home in my living room on my own with my dogs. And as you know, having dogs, they really catch your vibe.
Yeah.
So when I was getting stressed, I got big dogs. When I was getting stressed out, they were getting stressed out. So it was a bit of a. I watched the undercard with a friend at his, and then I came back because I might.
Did you stay out the full duration of the day?
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was thinking, if I'm this nervous and anxious, I mean, how nervous is he going to be?
How crazy would that be to actually be getting ready to make that work?
But it was just for me, aside from everything else, and I know there's obviously lots of ways of thinking. It definitely was the biggest fight of our lifetime, our generation. Yeah,
by far.
And just to be a part of it, as in to attend that one press conference, was for me was like being at the fight itself. Yeah. I mean, just the atmosphere, the energy in there was incredible, and I think I kept that till the fight, and everything has been going on. There's been loads of amazing podcasts, loads of amazing stories of the Paula Malignaggi, the sparring. Can he do it? And so I made some wagers. I lost them, but all the things I said about Conor beforehand, I still say again. I still believe it the same way, and I still think he did have options to do those things. Unfortunately, which he said in himself in his post-fight interview as well, his gas tank let him down. He's got some patches in his game where he dips, and he needs to try and stop that. I mean, I couldn't even run up some stairs, so I'm not going to comment on cardio for anyone ever. But again, one of my favourite things about big fights, even the Diaz fight, the Alvarez fight of Conor's, which obviously has such big animosity, because he's incredible at building up that like story. There's nothing I like more than the respect afterwards, the fist bump, the arm round. Of a big up and respect.
Yeah,
I love that.
You even saw that in the build up. Even though they were just cussing each other, you saw even at the end of the.
He nodded.
You see those that respect. How could you not respect either of them for what they've done and accomplished already? So
100%. Yeah.
Also, that when he says the biggest fight, I've never seen, and it was. You can talk about all Floyd's, like the big boxing names that he's fought. You can go back to all the amazing fights he's had and amazing names he's taken on. But I've never seen, and the press conference in particular, I've never seen a press storm like that before a fight for anybody else. And he kept going, I'm the A side. But that would not have happened without Conor, and Conor couldn't have had that without him. And that
100%.
That was crazy.
I said that. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Mayweather's great at selling fights, but that fight in my eyes was totally sold by Conor McGregor. Because you look at the betting, obviously the odds were a bit lopsided, but 98% of the bets was McGregor.
Yeah.
You saw Vegas, it was Ireland, it's just crazy. So like he brought the money to that fight, so that's why hats off to him to what he had.
And I think as well, people like me and fans of his are always keen to see the mental warfare, because a big part of it with everything. Yeah. If you're going on stage and someone says to you, "You're shit," loads beforehand, you might think,
how's that feel?
Yeah, you've seen one of my comedy gigs before, then that's right. Yeah,
it's never the one. And so for me, what I found really fascinating was he was the first person who could say to Floyd to his face, listen, in 16 seconds you'll be dead.
Yeah. In real life,
forget to put these down. If we're business and you're done.
Yeah.
And Floyd, he was just taking it, because he knows in his heart of hearts, well, that's, we're boxing, but obviously that's the case.
Yeah.
And was it the Ortiz fight in the weigh-ins where he grabbed his neck? I was thinking, you ain't going to do that to Conor.
Yeah.
You're going to come near. And I thought that painted such a picture. And the way the people were saying, oh, Conor's a bit scared, he's shouting in his face at the weigh-ins, I'm like, then you ain't seen the last God knows how many Conor McGregor fights.
That's 4 years. Cage Wars, he was doing it before. You go and watch some of the early fights and the way he out-psyched people at the weigh-ins.
I remember being backstage at a Cage Warrior thing, and people don't know, if people don't know, see him before a fight, he spars backstage. 100% spars. I'm watching this back in Cage Wars, but also when I fought in the same show as me in the UFC, I'm like, he's gonna get hurt. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna get injured before you go out, mate. I'll slow down a little bit because they're proper full on sparring.
Is it Artem Lobov he's kicking off with?
Yeah.
Poor Artem, mate. But wasn't it cute that he brought him in all dressed up for the thing as well? That was
I
nice.
wouldn't want to get punched by Artem either, though.
No,
he looks like
the Russian, and this talking about the Russian hammer. One of the moves that a lot of people are talking about in the fight that Conor used was the hammer fist. I loved that when he threw that. I thought, a little nod to Artem.
But I found that the whole thing great. I mean, the only thing that kind of really annoyed me on the night is Carl Froch. Just how biased.
That was a shame.
See, I missed it. I was in Tajikistan for this fight, so I was in Dushanbe, and they switched. And when I've got my social media on, so in between rounds, I'm looking at what people are saying back in the UK, and about 60-70% of it was people just digging into Carl Froch. So I was quite stressed. I thought maybe we'd have got the the Showtime.
I didn't want that either, though. It was just that I didn't see the Showtime one because obviously we're here, Sky Box Office. But obviously that Showtime broadcast would have been just berating. I didn't hear it, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't extremely pro Mayweather and just anti-Conor the whole way. I mean, I was quite surprised that they kept Paulie on for Showtime for the commentary.
I'm surprised Conor let him stay on.
I don't think. Not because I dislike Paulie Malignaggi, and I get it. He's selling a fight, and
he's emotionally invested so much.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. For a company, I was quite surprised you have someone with a bias on there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was funny the day before he was with Floyd saying, "Hey, suckers."
But that was quite sad as well, wasn't it? That was like
the whole thing.
Yeah, we got you, and you're like, oh, come on, mate, it's getting desperate.
So
now,
I just thought,
suckers.
not the one for Showtime, really. I was surprised with that. But you know, got to give Paulie credit. He wants to fight now with Conor. Whether that's going to happen, who knows? I don't. I personally would like to see Conor return to the UFC.
He has to defend his belt.
He has to defend his belt.
What's going on? You know?
Yeah.
He has. I want to see him defend the belt somewhere. He hasn't done anything doing Cage Warriors. Hasn't done in UFC.
He's never defended the belt.
Never defended the belt.
He's won it. Never defended
Cage
it.
Warriors is fair enough because you get that call. You're like,
it's
like going Premier League now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but it's what he's done. Every step he's taken. In fact, he's not taken steps. He's leaped. He's done
100%.
leaps.
4 years ago, he was collecting doll.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. I mean, before even to what he's achieved now, I was like, they're going to make a movie about this kid.
Oh, mate,
they've done it, right? They've done one.
They've
done
Universal.
But they'll make
years to come. There's going to be.
You can see little moments like the face-off at the. You could pick, and I see because there will be a movie. There'll be a thing. John Kavanagh. You think he'll play that? But there's little moments like when they're walking into the arena and you could see, and Conor was there with Dee Devlin with the baby behind them, and you think that'll be a scene in the movie.
That's an amazing scene. Yeah,
it's beautiful. Absolutely.
But the thing about what I think about McGregor is what is appealing to many is actually me and my friends who feel the same way. I just believe in the shit he says, as in like his ethos is, his way of approaching things, being a student of the game, always learning. Yeah. Obviously, forget turning on the promo and all that stuff beforehand and being that guy, because that's an incredible trait to have in any field. But about hard work and precision and speed, like all these things, and you can adapt into many things in life. Yeah. Doubt me, I'm going to work hard to put. All of it is really positive.
There's never been a greater talker in combat sports from Ali. I think he is by far leaps and bounds above everyone else.
Agreed.
He's a fantastic fighter, but he's just his way he speaks. Like, I've never been one of those guys. Oh, I'm fighting the UFC, but I've never been one of those people who watch press conferences or anything like that. I've been like, it's whatever. Everyone he's involved in, I watch.
CTV.
I watch. Not only that, I reckon he's that type of person. If you don't even know who he was, and you see him on the TV, he could captivate an audience. What's he saying? He's very interesting, and say he has a very switched on mind.
Yeah, when my mum sends me stuff about MMA, it's only about Conor McGregor. That's my mum sending me. She's got nothing, doesn't have any investment in the sport whatsoever. But any little article she sees anywhere with Conor McGregor in it, she'll send it to me or do so. But that's the effect. And you talk about his ethos. I'll be absolutely honest. He's had a big effect on me about how I approach things and about my attitude towards stuff and what I want to do and what I want to achieve and what I believe I can achieve. And I think he's had the same effect on a huge generation in Ireland and worldwide as well. So
is that why I saw you walking down the street the other day?
That's right. That's it. Mine wouldn't be the $1 billion one. Mine's a tenner walk, basically. Okay. That's. But right, let's ask. I'm going to ask you this question because the question before the fight was, or the worry was, would he embarrass MMA? What did you think?
For me, it's not. It's not two different sports. It wasn't like a lot of people saying it's MMA versus boxing. It wasn't really, in my eyes. It was an MMA fighter who had the kahunas to go into boxing to fight one of the boxing greats.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't see many boxers doing that reverse. You know, it's like completely no. For me, boxing. I mean, people don't realise I come from a boxing background. I used to love boxing. I used to remember last time, I even said it on one of my tweets, last time I stayed out of this and was excited for a fight was when I used to watch Tyson.
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah.
That's when I used to be like, you know. So, but for me, boxing hasn't been like for a long, long time. The only glimmer of hope it had was Joshua versus Klitschko.
That was great.
That was a great fight.
Yeah,
that was a great fight.
For me, that like. For
that
me,
made me feel like Tyson
boxing
days,
is like
that was the best heavyweight fight I think I've seen since Tyson.
Since
100%.
since that time.
For me, like boxing is like this. The analogy is this: there's a dead man on the floor, right, and that just boom, boom, jumped and got his heart going again. You know, that's all I say. For me, like boxing, for me is a little bit in the grave, and if Conor would have won, that would have been the nail in the coffin.
Okay,
but he hasn't. Obviously, he didn't win. But for me, it's just like, it's just evolution. Sports change, you know, humans change, trades change, you know, music changes all the time. Combat sport has changed. Number one combat sport. When I started fighting, I've said this loads of times, I always said, like, for me, MMA would be the number one combat sport. I don't know if it's going to be one in my lifetime or two within my career. But it's done both in my eyes. The bigger pay-per-views are always been in MMA now. Don't get me wrong, there's some great fights out there, Triple G and Canelo. It's going to be
that'd be a great fight as well. Yeah.
Then what's next?
No, agreed. Yeah.
Then what's next? Yeah.
I mean, it was sad. It was a shame to see the Ward Kovalev fight, as in how little interest there was.
That wasn't
that
sad.
like the biggest.
Totally.
He's Ward, one of the best in the world.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Both of them are. Yeah,
I think it's down to how boxing promotes. You know,
but boxing's been a victim of the fact that it's split. There's all the different belts. Different boxing was by far.
Yeah, it's a buffet.
Yeah. How many are there?
Four,
WBO,
I think.
WBC, WBA. There's so many belts. That's why I've always said this: the best guys in the world never fight each other because like you don't know who, what is this, that.
It takes so long to make the deal, doesn't it?
For the consumer, you don't know who's the best guy in the world. Where it's very easy in MMA, the guy who's holding the UFC belt is the best guy in the world. So it's very easy for the consumer to understand what's what. So that's why boxing went wrong. And also for me, boxing promoting wise, even this fight, it was friggin' empty until the main
100%. Yeah, that was because no one gave a shit about the undercard. No disrespect to the fighters on
but
there.
UFC's never like that.
Badou Jack had a great fight.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's very different. People, they couldn't be bothered. They were like, what's the latest time we can get in? Watching it and also watching Ariel's tweets and stuff. Like an hour before the main event, there was like 3,000 people in there in a 17,500 capacity venue.
That's crazy, isn't it? That is crazy. But that's also been boxing's downfall. It's on one fight. Every card is based on one fight. It's been that for a very long time. You couldn't tell me 2-3 fights on the Joshua Klitschko fight.
I can't tell you another fight on the.
Yeah,
you only know the.
Didn't Paulie Malignaggi have his last fight on that card where what's that name? Butterfield, the guy who's from up north, he beat him. What's his name? Anyway, that's only one fight I remember from that card.
But that's the thing.
It's not promoted really. They don't promote.
No.
Like
Whereas
in
UFC
cards promotes a main event.
The fight pass prelims are decent.
Card,
the actual prelims, and then you got the main card, which would always have decent fights.
Isn't that exactly what Dana and the Fertitta brothers, wanted to do? Basically, which was, we love boxing. We come from boxing.
Yeah.
We see things that aren't working in boxing. We love this new thing. Can we take this model and do the things that we think need changing? Hence, make an exciting full card. Give it a full promo. Even the press conferences where it's not like a case of, hi, I'd like to thank so and so. Thank you for being here. We're the world-winning blah blah blah. And like, questions, please. Why don't you fight Tony Ferguson? You know, it's balls deep straight in. And obviously that there's the MMA media with the UFC is back and forth. They've got their own shows. It's a different beast. Wouldn't it also say that lots of the boxing commentary coverage, podcast, whatever, I don't know, compared to the MMA stuff, which is far more broad and complete opposing opinions and a lot of facts and information. The boxing stuff, it seems a little bit airy-fairy and not so to the point. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm waffling a bit on that.
No, I agree. I think the whole package of boxing feels dated, whereas MMA feels like it's just a breath of fresh air. The way they're approaching every single angle of it is different.
But also, as two sports in general, you
so
see
different.
So different. You see boxing. Boxing's been around for centuries, right? So like that. Not much change, obviously, back in the old day, but then it gets to the stage where it's coming. There's not much new techniques coming out.
Yeah.
When MMA is like a freedom of speech when it comes to you
see some crazy shit every
so little rule sets. You're allowed to express yourself. Does this work? No, I want to do that again. Does this work? I look good. You could do what you want. Where in boxing, you're restricted by the rule sets they have. You can't get to express yourself, So that's what MMA for me is ever changing, ever evolving,
So let's just talk about Floyd then in the fight, because it wasn't a normal Floyd Mayweather.
No, definitely not.
He came forward. And I thought one thing that really got me going. Obviously, the first few rounds I gave those to Conor, you could see Floyd's game plan early on. He's going to look to take as many shots as he can, wear him down, make him work harder than he would.
Do you remember what I said?
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
I personally don't think he's looking to take as many shots. I don't think anyone really wants to get whacked in the face by Conor McGregor or anyone for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that a lot of those things, the fast punches, like the multiple lefts, I think that shook him. And I think he was like, I'm not expecting that, but don't worry, I'm still...
He did actually get hit cleaner than I thought he was.
He did. That uppercut in the first round.
I was going to say, where he
stood up like... My dogs were like, what are we doing? I'm like, no, nothing. Relaxing for now.
We're about to change history.
You know what I mean? So I definitely think he caught him and he showed. And that's what people, it was a mic drop moment, those first 3 rounds.
Right.
Yeah, of course, Floyd was reading him. And as Conor said, Floyd changed up 3 times.
Yeah.
And the third time was the magic. And Conor was like, oh shit, it can't be. And that was the curtains for him at the end. But he said that himself, and he took the defeat really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely, I think, was reading Conor for those first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
First,
I think and surprised by him, like you said.
100%.
Yeah.
But for me, the turning point for Floyd was I think it was halfway through the 4th round. He got Conor with a clean right.
Yeah.
Flush. And not that it probably threw his head back, but Conor kind of noticed. Okay,
he gave a
little
nod,
throwing now.
And
also, I was thinking, obviously, this is obvious, but Floyd's obviously got a bit more power than people give him credit for.
Yeah. He
didn't spar for like 2 or 3 or a month beforehand to save his hands. He said so in the post fight.
Yeah,
it's very calculated.
It's precise, and that's the thing. Speed kills.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I say, in the first, I predicted as close as I could have. I said round 8. It was 2 rounds later, but I did say you'll see McGregor win the first few rounds.
Maybe the first 5, you had the option.
But I thought he won the first 3 definitely.
100%.
Fourth was close, and then he just turned. But for me, that's what I said how to go. I think it would take him a few rounds to read him. He was very defensive, but even being defensive, with all those punches get in front of you, some are going to get through, and they did. And he made it exciting, like, oh my god. But then I could see the pep starting to like slow down. And
you see, round 9, it just felt like he went woosh.
He
had a good 8 though, Conor. He had a good 8.
Yeah.
Under a few bits.
Took 8. I thought he took 8, but then 9, he felt like he just physically, and he put that thing where he put his elbows on the ring, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He just got tired.
You saw that in his fight with Diaz, and you're like, oh my god, he's tired, and you're like, oh, he's done it again. He got tired in the first fight, and then I'm getting beat. He got caught with a good right hand, and then got dropped and choked out. But fatigue lost him that fight.
I agree. I think
not skill, because he lit.
He lit Nate up in the first fight, and that was a weight thing, 100%.
The same thing happened in the second round.
Same thing happened in this fight. Maybe I'm talking complete shit here, and please, if I am, let me know, because this is your world, weight cutting. But so obviously Conor came in at 153, Floyd came in at a lean 149. I wouldn't be surprised if Floyd was no more than 151 on the fight day. He looked absolutely lean as and Conor came in at like close to 170, and I don't know if he was that against Alvarez. I'm not too sure, or if he was closer to 155, but man, I just felt that was similar to the Nate 1 fight, where he came in a bit too heady, threw all the power, and then it kind of tired him out. Maybe that's his normal.
I don't
fight.
think that's the way. I actually do think that's genetic. I do, because it just happens to him all the time. You see him when he looks the best in the earlier rounds and he puts people away. If he doesn't put them away, it gets interesting, you know. So like, yeah, like I say, he done the same with the second Nate fight. He looked great in the first few rounds, and he was holding back. He didn't go as crazy as he did the first fight
on purpose.
On purpose to save a little bit of gas tank. But then he got to the stage where he ran out of gas, and then next minute you're like, oh my god, it's going to happen again.
But he pulled it back on that one.
It back,
and that's what obviously I think it was. Do I think this was an embarrassment of MMA? Not in the slightest.
No.
One. Yes, he was saying, let me go out, knock me out, knock me down, don't stop the fight until
I don't think so, yeah.
So there's obviously, but again, all the boxing purists, and even on Joe Rogan's podcast, he's like, he had to stop because, all right.
Carry on, keep going.
Even on Joe Rogan's podcast, he was like, it was a good stoppage because he was exhausted, and if he would have made it the 11th, Floyd would have probably just,
Yeah.
But me as a fighter,
you're like, let me have
put
the
me in a body bag, you know.
Yeah. Let me have the opportunity.
Let me fight until I'm stiff, you know.
So he didn't. The point is, when that bell rung, he didn't look too much worse than when it started.
Yeah.
He walked
looked
out
tired.
head held high, and I like the way that afterwards, except the defeat, he said the things about how good Floyd was, how actually, obviously he's the guy, and very humble, and it was brilliant.
It was great, but the only person who could have ever made that happen in our lifetime was Conor McGregor, and there's loads of people slating and boxing people coming out saying, well, this proves something, but the thing for me that it proves is that how special that man is and how lucky we are to have him in our generation. As a fan, as competitor that could be in his weight class or even around the sport, even as an MMA fighter coming up, he's elevated this sport now, so it'll be a different game for the next generation coming through than it was 4 years ago before he started. So
for me, he's like the Ali of our generation.
100%. I also think what's fascinating, I think he's got a big play coming up now, which is this is where I think he's kind of cemented himself as the guy, and this for me the next part just makes him there's no contest. So he either comes back and either does the Nate trilogy, a 155 for the belt, which is a bit mad how Nate can do nothing for a while to get a title shot, but
I'd watch it.
We all would watch it. I'd pay way more than I just
paid. It's the era of money fights now. It's not the fights.
That's not even that. That was a fucking good fight. That's the one guy who really does trouble Conor.
Yeah, and doesn't crack to him either.
No.
That mouth
it's
good. Words.
It's brilliant.
But I don't know if Nate now we get down to 155.
No, exactly. That's a different conversation. There's obviously the option now, Ferguson Lee.
Yeah, that's a weird one for me. But
I've personally, I don't know why, I see Lee taking that one.
I do as well.
I see Lee taking that one.
Really?
Yeah, I know Ferguson's a beast, and actually when you watch Ferguson on the every now and again I watch the old Tough scene. If you ever seen the Tough season of Ferguson on,
there you go. Yeah. He was the heel in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said some shit. He said something about some.
He was because he's been on a journey. Because he said some weird shit.
Yeah, he came across pretty bad. Then
like what?
Something about someone's dad or someone being a bastard or something pretty coarse. Like,
now for me, I mean, like I'm not a great judge of character. Well, I actually do think I'm a good judge of character, but I don't know. I mean, I don't like his. I don't. I mean.
Ferguson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about the whole shades and
I get it.
The suit, but he doesn't look right on him.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor in a suit and a pair of shades looks cool as fuck.
Yeah.
He looks like you're trying too hard.
100%.
He's like one of those. He's like, what are you doing? That's not you. Just wear normal clothes.
100%.
That is not you.
100%. And that's why one thing I like about Lee, because he's a cocky
but
I like it.
He looks.
He's got it. Yeah. He's got the head to toe tracksuit look with the shit. I like him, and he talks a good game.
25 to life. All these hashtags. He always
all that kind of shit. And I see the fight for Conor being the Nate trilogy, the winner of that, or Khabib in Russia.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Khabib can make the weight. I don't know what legs Khabib has to stand on after turning down 2 more Ferguson fights and pulling out the day before because of weight.
Second or third
it's a
time
mad
he's missed
one.
weight.
But if Conor does any of those and comes out triumphant, I think, and does the fight in the next 4 to 6 months, I think that shows him as being the guy.
Yeah.
Conor does what he wants, but I don't know if he'll fight again this year.
New Year's Eve, maybe. I reckon he might.
Well, he's not allowed to have any contact until November anyhow.
Oh, okay.
60 days suspension.
So it would be New Year's Eve, the big card, 30th of December.
He won't fight within 60 days anyway, because the UFC wouldn't have time to promote anything. They'll be like, what's going on?
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah.
But there's interesting fights for him.
Kevin Ferguson for me though.
Kevin Ferguson.
Kevin Ferguson.
Like
I've joined them together. They're love child. That's Tony Ferguson.
Lee.
Tony Lee.
I think I know a Tony Lee actually. Big up Tony.
Big up Tony, whoever you are. But the fight that I would love to see is Tony Ferguson Habib. That's the one where
that should happen.
That for me.
Fuck knows when you'll see that one, mate.
Yeah. You see, for me, I think Ferguson. Actually, I think that's one of the fights where if you shove them in 10 times, they might take 5 each. Because I think it's that close stylistically.
Didn't the Khabib Johnson fight, although obviously he mullered him and dragged him around like a rag doll, he got lit up by him in the first round. I'm telling you, if Conor lit him up like that, he'd be out. And I'm telling you, if Ferguson lit him up like that, he'd be out.
I
so
agree.
If Khabib can get hold of you, I mean, I'm terrified to think about Khabib holding anyone. Yeah, looks like it's pretty much curtains.
Yeah, if he gets on top of you, you're in trouble.
Isn't he doing that with like Cain Velasquez and DC where they're training? He's like, I mean, jeez.
Let's see, because we've got some questions here as well. Which, in fact, this is the other one that we need to talk about, because we're talking about Conor being the man, the person who we thought was the man after UFC 214. Jon Jones just got popped. Is it Turamidol or something, which is it's the same substance.
It's an anabolic steroid.
Yeah, so it's the same substance Frank Mir got popped with. So I was talking to him about how he could accidentally have that in his system. And
I'm all ears on this.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult one. But the Frank's argument was, if Jon Jones knew
that's what we got popped for before.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
See, the
last one was some.
No, it was different.
It was different thing. The last one at 200 was something he said from some kind of Viagra.
Cialis. So it's in there, but it was a different strain.
This one's with a T, isn't it?
It's Tuolabone or something.
Tuolabone, yes. Yeah, something. But when I spoke to Frank, he said the weird thing about him having it in his system is for him to know he's going to get drug tested
on the day
of, and for him to have it in his system
and pass all the random tests.
He said that is what's weird, because you wouldn't take anything that would have something like that in it accidentally. Okay. But also you would not take it if you knew you're getting drug tested. That's a bit which
for me what really baffles me. You are prime hot suspect. You're gonna get. He got tested multiple times leading up to that fight. So for me, I'm just thinking there has to be some kind of tainted supplements. But then if even that is the case, you earn the crazy type of money. You be employing someone to monitor everything that goes into.
You've got the means to do it.
Because you're gonna lose.
Got the means to do it.
Because now, if he does get popped for it.
Well, he has been popped. It's now down to if
it's like clear that he's not taking supplements or anything like that. If he just gets a ban, it's gonna now for his second time is 3 to 4 year ban. So you're thinking about the money he loses.
Minimum 4 years. So second time round. So he's been banned 2 years. Next thing for a steroid, if you get popped again, 4 years, 4 to 6, 4 to 6.
So you got to think about that. 4 to 6. He's 30 now. So, but not only that, how old he is, the money you would lose, potential earnings within that. Pay someone
80 million or something crazy.
Crazy.
Pay someone
and your prime
Pay someone to monitor everything goes into your body. How has anything slipped into your body?
Pay for a driver. Pay for somebody to just make virgin cocktails. Pay for someone to keep your drug dealer away from you. Pay for somebody to test everything you put in your body.
Do you know as well? I feel really bad for Cormier.
Of course.
He's been what's going on.
He's only 2 losses to Jon Jones, and this was his first knockout, and that's taken some time off his career.
He's also dealt with this, I think, like a true champion, really. DC, like he's not gone out and berated Jon. That's what he said. He needs his, needs to get checked up properly and let him have his time and go through all of the necessary procedures. And let's not judge him yet. Let's see what happens. I might be a bit like, I might be complete.
Two things. One. That's what I was so amazed with Jon Jones, how he handled the way he treated the feet, how nice he was to DC. Because DC, first of all, handled it terribly, but I think he was just all over. But he was just
completely concussed, no?
Yeah, he was just in cuckoo land. So he didn't know what was going on.
He was pushing Dana, apparently.
Yeah, he didn't know what was going on. But the way Jon Jones, the role model he is, how he acted after, I was just like, you know what?
Like a true gent.
True guy. And then this, just thinking, what
I know nothing about PEDs or roids for really any level.
Do you want some?
Well, we'll see what we got. I mean, I'm not competing.
These are the bodies of people who take roids.
But well, I watched MMA Hour yesterday, Ariel's, and Chael's son was on there. And obviously, what I like about Chael, one of the many things I like about him is he is pretty fucking honest. Yeah, I did this. I got popped for this. Yeah, I was doing it to enhance myself.
Yeah.
Oh well, there you go. This is what I took.
Yeah.
And he said, this particular steroid is one you do in like a series of stuff. I don't know. I'm just basically rehashing what he said. And he goes, if you got popped for this, you didn't get caught for the good shit earlier.
Oh, really?
And I just thought,
oh, fuck.
I don't know what to think because he's so convincing about it. But how could Jon, you could think...
How could you get away with it?
So good. But then again, have you seen Icarus?
No.
Have you seen Icarus?
No.
Okay, well, after this, and whoever's watching this, can go and watch Icarus on Netflix. It's basically about the whole Russian doping scandal.
Oh.
I heard about this. Yeah.
And it basically talks about how rife it is. Was it 100% of Russian athletes got caught doing roids? Yeah. And there was a big government.
They were forced to do them.
Yeah, by the government.
Yeah,
There's a big state thing. Don't quote me on it. Read the documentary.
Putin, leave us alone.
I didn't do this. But it's really mad interesting. Yeah. And it's mad interesting. And for a cynic, you watch
on Netflix.
Like, wow.
Well,
yeah, Netflix.
Well, there's somebody put a status up said, what a coincidence. The greatest and most skilled athlete and fighter of our time.
Thank you.
Is on. He's retired. Is been popped twice. So it's and when I talk to other fighters around it and around the sport, they go, yeah, most people would be doing something. Somebody like this. There's a culture of it, and in different countries, there's a different. Like in America, I think there's a bit of a culture of it. Russia and Brazil, without a doubt,
they've got a culture for. They've got a culture for providing you ways of passing the tests. Yeah, that's what the documentary shows fundamentally.
Yeah. This is the thing that USADA has made a difference with, because if you tell an athlete, say
you got a test on Wednesday,
they'll find there's a way of getting out of it. There's
a
way of
mate.
And also there's certain, I know other promotions, other big promotions, when they've done their piss test before, they'll give you a cup and they'll leave the room.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Whereas when USADA, you stand there and they stand in for, they watch you.
I know you can buy these fake dicks as well, where they watch you.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Tyson talked
not
about
the right
that,
tan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Caught out.
Give us a hand with it. That's funny. But it is that thing that USADA's made a difference with now, is the fact that it's the random testing, to be able to come to you at any point, any time. So that is changing the game. But
and you see a lot. You see the kind of athletes change, the people who were great back then.
Look at Reem. Look at Overeem.
Well, look at his different fighting style. There's different kangaroo meat. There's different fighting style as well. So when he was the Reem, he was
walking you down. Boom. Now he's like
he's back,
running around
for that one punch. Doesn't he? Just does that thing. Shit.
The thing as well, that obviously it's different people with different. Genetically, some people have high testosterone levels. Of course, they would do.
Yeah.
But what you decided to do, they do a map. So
you should be at a certain age.
They do a passport. So they constantly test you. So they see how your levels are changing. So because some people have naturally high testosterone levels.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's called.
So they profile you.
It's a passport. Yeah.
Okay.
So they constantly test you, so they can see. It's called. So they're testing a passport of your testosterone levels. So then all of a sudden now it's really high, but they can't test what you're taking. But they're like, now why is it going really high compared to it was? Even if it's not above the limit, but why is it spiked and all that sort of stuff?
That's interesting. So they create that background so they can just that's crazy. What are they doing with the belt? So the belt's been taken off Jon Jones. It's not been given back to DC,
nothing at the minute. Nothing at the minute. They're just going to wait until they find out, and then obviously if it finds out, it's just. He has fully popped. They'll strip him and most likely give it back to DC.
DC giving the belt back, that must hurt as well.
It's just like, I won't want it. I'll be like, come on.
But in a saving grace, he's like, right, the next person I fight would be for a title shot for the belt.
Yeah.
If it's Gustafsson.
Yeah,
I think he should fight. What's his name? It'd just be Jimmy.
Ozdemir. Yeah. But that also, as we talk about that, who he will fight, you realise when I started watching UFC, the light heavyweight division was the division
stacked.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
so glad the division sucks ass now.
That's right.
Jones gone.
It's gone.
It's very limited. That you look at the top 10. I'm like, who's that guy? What's that?
Yeah.
What?
Of course, that's what they're saying. Ozdemir out of nowhere.
Ozdemir, he's just won 3 fights in the UFC, and like now he's like in title contention. Like, how's that even possible?
Yeah.
That division, no
And
way.
it's
6-year that division's gone AWOL.
Yeah.
All
but
gone to
the
Bellator.
lighter divisions have really become, you know,
Oh, they're the bits I
the
love
pinnacle,
now, man.
you know.
Yeah. The featherweight, the flyweight, even the flyweight, and the
It's been the same for boxing.
bantamweight. Yeah.
Same for boxing.
Yeah. Lomachenko's doing the Matrix the other day again. So, but yeah, I mean, lots of great fights coming up in the for the rest of the year. Really.
Yeah. We've got
Cody TJ.
Yeah, but that's on the Madison Square Garden. I might have to go to that.
Oh yeah,
sure.
That's an amazing card.
Let's do it there.
Who else is there? You got GSP Bisping.
That's the one.
I've forgotten who else is on
Obviously, you'd
there.
like Michael to win, but what do you think on
I
that?
think Michael will take it. I think I've interviewed Michael before, and he is big. He's not a huge middleweight, but he's
Elephant's
big.
not king of the jungle.
Yeah, but he's up against GSP, who's coming back from such a long layoff. I've met GSP. He's not huge. He's
I went out to McDonald's with him.
You went to McDonald's with GSP. Tell us about that
can't
story.
be that big.
Let's go.
he loves the McDonald's. McDonald's and black women. He loves them.
Do you know what? You're laughing at that. Somebody said exactly the same sentence to me before about that.
Big up GSP.
Yes,
rude boy. Big up GSP.
Big up GSP. Surely KFC's a better mix for that. No,
I like. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But he's just not big mentally as well. Like I don't think he's going to cope with Michael Bisping being right in his face all through the press conference.
Michael Bisping has a great gas tank. That's always been his
cardio king.
thing.
Yeah. And I think size and Bisping's wrestling is fairly underrated. I think he out-wrestled Stan. He out-wrestled Chael Sonnen. I thought he actually won that fight, even though they gave it Sonnen.
For an English guy, that
was a great fight.
It was a good fight. Yeah. So I think he'll take it. I think that'll be GSP done. He says if he loses one, he's finished, and then I think Bisping will have one more fight in London, maybe February.
Whittaker against Whittaker has to be.
That's the thing.
And Whittaker is dangerous.
Yeah.
Whittaker is dangerous.
Bobby Knuckles is one of the scariest fighters to come through,
but I like that division middleweight.
I love the division.
I'm also looking forward to the Rocco Branch fight. Because Branch had a real, not a great showing on his debut. He's kind of scraped to victory. He's undefeated for like 9 years or something.
Yeah, and two-weight champion.
Two-weight champion. Yeah. Rockhold, obviously, amazing.
Yeah.
Like, looks amazing. Incredible body. Fights amazing, really. Yeah. Got caught and banged out by Bisping, which was incredible. He
was too complacent.
Too complacent. Didn't give Michael the time of day.
Right.
Served him right.
That's the difference between boxing and MMA. In boxing,
you can do that.
You get dropped down and like, okay, right, now I need to wake up. But this one, you don't get
curtains. And Rocco was really dismissive about Branch on Ariel's MMA hour. And Branch come back and said, you know what? Fuck you, I'm going to do you. And now I'm like, okay, that's got something there. Yeah. When you totally underestimate someone, that's when I think sparks could happen.
That's good.
I want to see Cody and TJ.
Oh, that
for me, one of the fights of the year coming up.
Just the history under it and the fact we've waited so long. I think
that's a tough fight for Cody, TJ's...
He's good, TJ.
TJ's great. But then you look at what Cody did to Dominic Cruz. Oh, my God. I never expected that.
I never get many... I don't want to give myself a big head, but I don't get a lot of things wrong when it comes to MMA. Or roughly just... I would have lost my house on that. Not that I didn't think Cody could beat...
no, same here. Same
like, if he's going to... For me, to beat Dominic Cruz, you have to knock him out or submit him. And I was like, Cody's probably not going to submit him, but he has the power to knock him out. But... You're never going to beat Dominic Cruz on his decision, but he did. He outclassed him. He doing breakdowns,
punked him. It was good.
Him on the floor, it was different.
Again, it's conversation. Dominic's in his feet and this and that. Obviously, he has been through the wars. Yeah. But Dominic, for me, is one of my favourite fighters, just because he's just everything about him is so brilliant.
How articulate, how clever he is.
And again, the Conor McGregor thing, how he took that defeat, Dominic, that day, come in, suit and booted, the press conference.
Stood at the press conference.
Stood, and gave an incredible speech. And like that's the kind of shit that shows you deserve your championship all that time.
I love that shit.
I think TJ actually has some of the Dominic's traits. The looping, and trying to be the awkward and weirdness.
And footwork. He based his footwork on that. That was the big changes. They studied him and Dominic's time out, because obviously Uriah Faber, who previously was, which is part of the story, is his mentor and head coach. They'd fought him so many times, they prepared for him so many times, and he was one of the sparring partners. He'd started to work the footwork, and that was a big change in his game. You watch his fights on the Tough series, he's okay.
Different guy.
He's okay. Yeah. He's all right. He gets through it. He's quiet. He's a bit annoying.
He didn't even win that Tough, did he?
Didn't win the Tough. No.
Dodson knocked him out.
Dodson knocked him out. And then came out and he started doing this footwork and this crazy shit, and it just a different fighter. Looked great mentally as well. So look, we've got some questions here as well. We'll go through, which actually takes us into a little bit about your music and also your history of MMA. So we'll ask a few of these. So you're the person we've had the most emailed questions for. In that, which is cool. We usually get social media, quite a few of that, but email. You must have very intelligent. It says the difference between the people that listen just to us and the people that listen to you. That's interesting
because I think that I can tell when we have shows and how many people come to them that a lot of our fans might not be like on social media that much, but they buy our music and come to our shows,
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty boring on social media as well, so not like interactive.
Yeah.
I find it quite difficult.
Right, but it just made me smile because usually we get a few, but this was like.
I'll take an accolade. I'll take that.
Yeah. That's it. You take that. Take it from the fact that you're on the podcast. You like MMA. When did you get into the sport, and who is your favourite fighter?
Wow, I've been into it for a long time, back and forth from Tito Ortiz days.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I gotta say, the last 6 years it's really like been a bee in my bonnet again.
Yeah.
And I think going on from how I've been talking this entire podcast, it's fair to say that Conor McGregor is my favourite fighter. Again, not because he's an unbeaten athlete, but because of so many things that go on in and outside the cage. I guess a different answer to a question would be talk about favourite fighters from different weight classes. Weight classes.
Yeah,
because I think it's quite unfair to. It's so different, how
different styles.
A Stipe Miocic is incomparable to a Conor.
Yeah, or to a Demetrius Johnson.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, we're here with the one man to have that W.
Did I ever tell you that story?
Mate, you've actually got a question on that.
That's always worth asking.
Somebody asked. I think it's Ben Boy. He listens to the podcast quite a lot. Yes, on Instagram. If they were to offer you that fight, would you cut the weight and take the fight?
What, with DJ?
Yeah.
I'll smack him about. Yeah, of course. It's like, for me, I said this loads of times, whenever I got into the fighting, when I got to any sort of stage where I started to travel and knew I was doing all right, it was about to see how far I could go with the sport. So obviously I always try to get to be the best in Europe, done that, or best in the UK, done that, best in Europe, done that. Try to get in the top 10 rankings, done that. Top 5, done that. Yeah. Kept him falling over at the final hurdle. Beat Demetrius Johnson before, so he was in weight class below. So I'm like, you know what? Go down a weight class, try and get to number 1 there.
Good at running, aren't they?
Yeah. They're too quick and run away a lot, So like that door shut for me, and so I'm like, fine, I can't be number 1 anymore, and that's why I kind of retired. I'm like, it's not for me anymore.
Kind of retired. We're breaking some news here. What the shit?
Okay, that's why I retired. Retired because it wasn't the only reason. That's why I retired, because I see him going self down the rankings. So it's just like, right, there's other ways to earn money. So if I had a chance now to go back and try and be number 1 in the world straight away, fuck.
So to 125, would you make that cut?
Yeah. I'd do that easy. I'd do that. I'd kill people leading up to it because my mood would be shit.
We'd have to take a break from the podcast.
Honestly, I could make 125 if I want to. Just give me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I could make it, and I would do it for immediate title shot, not anything else.
Sorry, then should he? Okay, so he's fighting Ray Borg. When's it, next week or a couple of weeks?
Not that anybody knows. That's the thing, isn't it? They just lack
it's at the same card as Nunes and Shevchenko. So
yes, yeah,
both. Yeah,
I love that fight.
Me too.
Yeah.
So he's fighting Borg. Should he? I don't think he should. I think I hear what he's doing and why he wants to do this record afterwards. But should he have taken that TJ fight in the interim?
Me personally, I think he's doing the right thing.
So do I.
But as a fan, I'd much want to see him fight TJ. But I can see why he's doing it, because why would you want to risk your record against 1, a tough opponent, and 2, someone who's not
in your division? In
my division, how do you know he's going to make that weight class? He may not even make the weight, and then he messes it up.
And then just fighting for nothing.
Yeah, so he just messes it up.
And what if TJ won it, right? Yeah. Gets the belt. Then what happens with him and Cody? Is that on pause? Because that's the fight people want to see.
Yeah.
Did he defend 125?
It's like me as well. Like when I went down the weight class, right? To try and rekindle, I didn't start calling for an immediate title shot because you can't. I need to prove myself in that weight class, different way. Yeah. So like, obviously, if he went, TJ went down with his belt, he's the champion. He has more of a thing. But otherwise, no, jump in line, earn a title shot. That's how it should go. But nowadays, people just put on fights what the fans want to see, and the fans didn't want to see that fight. That's why the UFC pressured him a lot. But I give him respect. He held to his guns, and I know.
I don't think the fans really wanted to see that fight either.
It didn't tantalise me much. It wasn't one of those.
If you said to a fan, "Yeah, okay, listen, you got the option here. In October, you can see TJ DJ.
Yeah.
Or in November, you can see Cody TJ. What do you want?
Of course. Yeah. But if they said to you, right, you can see DJ Borg or DJ TJ.
Yeah.
What are you going to say then?
I feel bad for Borg. He's like, fuck you, man. I'll kill you. I was like, you would. You definitely would, man. I'm just
but that's the thing. And for me, that division is so, because they don't, I'll be honest with you, because they don't invest much time in that division either. And because it's been so heavily dominated, anyone who comes into that division, like Kyoji Horiguchi, like I said before, they come into the division, have a couple of wins, title shot.
Straight
and then
they're not ready. How many times can Benavidez fight him as well?
I know. I love Benavidez.
Has he lost 3 times? No,
3 times.
He's lost 3 already. He's lost the hat trick.
Yeah. It's gone. But I also think when the UFC are asking Demetrius Johnson to do them a favour, the way they've treated that division and the way they've treated him as a champion, he's absolutely fine for me to say no.
Haven't they said like they're going to get rid of the division now?
Right, apparently they'll never get rid of it. They'll never get rid of it.
I mean, I think there's other divisions they need to get rid of, like the 145-pound female division. It's like, who's in that?
Chris Cyborg. I watched the fight with a mate.
That random thing was a joke.
That was a joke. I watched the fight with a mate, and the one where
Tonya Evinger.
Yeah, Tonya Evinger. Yeah, and I watched that with a mate, and my mate literally went, "So who else is in the 145-pound division?" I went, you're watching this, is it? And actually, she's not in the 145. She's 135. She'll disappear. So it's just Cyborg. So
it's a hard one though. She's obviously incredible star, but they signed
amazing.
her,
but
and
they
signed her. It
was supposed to be the Ronda Rousey. We were all waiting for that to come round, and when Ronda Rousey got knocked out and then got destroyed by Nunes and disappeared, that fight was gone. And suddenly there's a Chris Cyborg who's brilliant. She's such.
Could you imagine what would have happened? Rousey, Cyborg.
Oh my God.
She's just like a wolf among sheep, you know. Like there's no one going to get close to her for a long time because there's just not many women that big in general, apart from Gabby Garcia.
I like this question.
Mates.
They are. Like You've met Gabby, haven't you? There you go.
Massive.
She likes a bit of picket. I like this question. If you were trying to get somebody that isn't into the sport, which fight would you show them?
Okay. What's the one? Czech Congo.
Oh, Pat Barry.
Come on, man. That's it.
Oh, he's out. He's not.
That is it.
Yours?
Oh, mine would be Henderson versus Shogun Rua for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it was a monument. It was a nuts fight, absolutely crazy fight. Secondly, if you are getting somebody into the sport, those two are so iconic that actually you could say this is them now. This is them in Pride. If they wanted to see more of them, they could jump. So there's a story about them. But the fact that fight, there was so much. It was just amazing, that fight. What's yours?
Okay, well, obviously, the simple one would be
Henan Barao, Brad Pickett.
The tough finale with
Forrest Griffin, Stephen Barnett. Yeah, look how upset you are.
Of course, that
is actually the answer. That's the correct.
That's
the answer.
That is the answer. That's the everyone's correct answer. Yeah. But of modern, mine would be Cub versus that.
That was Korean Superboy.
Superboy, well done.
That was a fucking amazing.
What a great fight that was. That was such a good fight.
To me, that present would be that one. Past would be Forrest and Stephen Bonham.
Let's see. What other ones have we got? Cool. This is one. So you headlined the Download Festival. You were the first. Is this right? This is me researching. You were the first metal acts to sub-headline, weren't you?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, and there was a bit of what was that like?
Well, yeah, beforehand we did it, and our music's pretty hard.
Yeah.
But we've obviously had some commercial success, and some of the chatter beforehand was like, we're fucking shit, we're fucking cheesy, we're crap, whatever it is, and the people were going to be dousing us with piss.
This is the thing. That's my follow-up question.
Bottles of piss.
Because
And I'll be honest. I think I've had worse things thrown at me in life, so I'll take it. But we're thinking, fucking hell. I mean, wait, why did they hate us that much? They you know what I mean? Like, why we? Why are you even there? Why are we even there?
They hate you.
And obviously, like with everything, it was just like some complete garbage online, or some like there was a Facebook page set up like get Jason Status off the lineup, and like 7 people joined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we did the show, it was one of the best shows of the summer. The promoter of that festival has booked us many times at other festivals since.
Yeah.
And there was not a single trace of urine on the stage.
Oh, that's.
So,
did you dress for urine? Did you?
No,
did you mac up?
No. Always dress to impress. And if you get covered in piss, then it's just another. And listen, I've got 3 massive dogs. I'm always covered in piss, so it's all good. It's all good.
I love that. That's wicked. Because that was going to be my follow-up. Because somebody got. I forget. Was it?
50 Cent a couple of years ago got covered in it.
Covered like big
What
bottles.
was the worst thing being thrown at you then?
Piss? No.
Man, shit. Okay, that would be a bad one.
That's happened.
No, that wasn't about the music getting stuff thrown at me. It was more of a joke. But the worst show I had, actually, unfortunately, was this year, and it was to a packed out football stadium in Germany. I mean, packed. I mean, full.
Yeah.
Thousands?
What? 65,000. Loads. Yeah, something stupid, something ridiculous. Yeah. And looked at the lineup, and there was absolutely no one from our world on there.
Oh no!
It was like, how can I put it? It's like you got all these fighters, and then there's a snooker player. You're like, what are we doing? You're like, Jimmy White. And they were playing our, this is our big tune. And people looked like doing kick-ups.
Oh my god!
Catching the ball and then the guy came on after us, played some kind of whatever the music was, and it was very, very different. And he played like a house version of a Gummy Bears theme tune, No Word of a Lie, which got a bigger reaction than our entire set. I realised then, this show is
that's it. It
happens.
But that's what paid. It doesn't matter.
We got paid, but
there's
I'd have happily not taken any money and just not done that.
There's the difference between a gig where you think, oh, they hate me and they should have liked me, but your soul can rest a little easy when the Gummy Bears are getting getting an encore.
Wrong audience.
You can go, oh, at least it's not us. So
and he showed his age. The fact that he knew who the Gummy Bears was, and the fact that we do as well.
So we've touched on this one bit. Who's next for the McGregor? We've done that. Do we think McGregor will fight Malignaggi? That's from Carl Booth, by the way. I've not been reading the names. Carl Booth.
Wow, that is a good question.
I would actually like him to, but me personally, I want to go back. I want him to go.
He's got
back
to
into
go back to UFC.
At that Malignaggi fight, he's got
maybe
to go
next year.
But I don't think he will. I think he'll be quite like being a thorn in Malignaggi's side. He's got that footage. He's won. He doesn't need to make money off Malignaggi. Malignaggi's going to be screwing for years over that shit that went there. We saw that the way he was almost schoolboy like at the sat next to Floyd Mayweather going sucker.
No, I think the more telling bit actually was in the footage found on the way when they arrived in Vegas. And Paulie Malignaggi cuts him off in the street, and he kind of turns around, and there's some kid's got a footage of it, and he kind of goes, "What is it? What's the problem?" And he says something about the footage, and he says, "Get over it. He got knocked out, He got your ass whooped. Get over it, boy. Get over it, And he's just like, no, man. And that looks to me more legit. Like Paulie's saying, no, you did me dirty, man. You lot did me dirty. He's like, no, man, you're just a dickhead. That looks like what was going on to me.
Yeah.
And that was quite telling. And I think Conor also knows, he's like, you know what? Like with everything in life, if I don't make music regularly, I'm a bit slower at it. I'm not as good. I have to take time and spend. After a week of making music every day, I'm back to where I was. Conor's like, I've got to go back now and do my jiu-jitsu, or do my wrestling. I've got to do my spinning back kicks. I've got to get my kickboxing.
Bit of Ido Portal, do some.
Yeah, he's got to do loads of shit. He's got to do loads of stuff to get back into his place. It's like, I've got to do this. That's why I'm king. And it's going to take me just to do more, just strictly boxing again. It's just quite long, I think. I think this is where I need to be. Yeah. And if I do boxing again, I have to take a lot of time out just to do it. Yeah. Surely.
Yeah. Let's say, what was the next one? This was a good one, actually. How do you test new material? The full email was talking about, because obviously comedians, we can go and do new material nights. Musicians can even go and do an acoustic night, or go and do a new material thing. We used to have the Chemical Brothers used to come, the Dust Brothers. Used to do test at our university, just come and every so often just maybe play 3 or 4 records just to see how it would go. Do you do the same?
Yeah, we DJ out usually about twice a week, so all over the country, all over Europe, all over the world. So more time, we'll make a tune and play it that same night. So every single record off the album, bar a handful, have been tried and tested in the clubs for months and months and months. Yeah, we come from we're massively from the drum and bass scene, drum, bass and jungle, and it's all about playing brand new exclusive music. And we used to cut dub plates, which is acetate. It's a vinyl that has a limited amount of plays, and obviously these days the vinyl is kind of redundant in clubs. It's all CDJs and SD cards, but our whole career has been based on playing new music and up front, and that's how you test something, see if it works. We've tested stuff before, didn't work quite well, had to change it, change the mix down, how it sounds.
Wow.
So yeah, without a doubt, we test our stuff on the road weekly.
That's cool. That's cool because
what do you look for when this is work because everyone's going mental or this one's not going?
For one, you can tell like. Okay,
you can tell by reactions.
Yeah, 100%. You can tell if a song isn't mixed down right, haven't got all the sonic elements in the right place. So the bass coming through nicely and the drums popping through. Because forget everything else in our music. The drums and the bass are paramount.
Yeah.
So if the drums sound fat and the bass sounds fat and the lead line sounds fat, you're good.
Oh.
So if it sounds, you can tell if it sounds a bit too muddy or too bassy or too whatever, it doesn't get the reaction in the club. You can tell it sounds like a bit of a mess.
Okay.
And a lot of songs you write might have like full vocals. They don't often get a great reaction to start with because people need to know the song. But lots of our music is instrumental based. So if it works and there's a good reaction, a loud noise, people going, then we know we're onto something.
This is a personal question.
Go on, mate.
Go for it.
I used to go. I used to love drum and bass growing up, obviously. And I still now, right? I used to go to a club, because I grew up a little bit. I'm from London, but I grew up in a place called like in the Oundle, like Corby, and I used to go to a place in Milton Keynes called Milwaukee's. There's an old, I don't know if you ever heard of this place, but this was pretty bad. You know, like it had a real small drum and bass, a real small happy hardcore, and it had a massive, thing. We have Groove Rider, Randall. You had all
nice.
That's good era.
Yeah, I mean that's when I was, super sharp, shooting shot.
Oh, nice.
You're talking 95, around that era. That's a great era. Those guys you mentioned, all those guys are good friends of ours. Ed Rush Optical.
Mickey Finn.
Yeah. Mickey Finn's an absolute legend.
Yeah, he is.
I
used to work in a shop called Maharishi.
Yeah.
When I used to work in fashion.
Oh, very nice.
And he used to love the Maharishi trousers.
For a bit, we're talking late 90s now. Now we're skirting around 97.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Now we're Maharishi now.
Yeah.
That's cool. This is onto the bass. You talk about finding and this also shows our level of listener. As far as the bass noise goes, have you heard of the brown noise? And have you ever used it? Do you know what the brown noise is? There's a noise where scientifically they reckon that it's such a frequency that if it's played loud enough and you hear it, that you will shit yourself.
Well, I think you should find out who that person is and ask them if they got that question from South Park.
Oh yeah, that's
exactly where they got that.
Yeah, that's where I knew it from as well. Yeah,
really?
The description you gave.
That's exactly right.
So, supposedly there was a frequency that you can play that it's inaudible.
Yeah,
that would make the human body defecate itself.
I don't need
any help with it, so I'm good.
But have you ever had bass envy as well? Have you ever heard someone's track and gone, who's giving you the most bass envy?
Oh, of course. Who writes tunes that we wish we'd have written? I mean, in drum and bass, there's many seminal tunes. I wish I wrote Pulp Fiction by Alex Reese back in '96. I wish that we originally wrote Valley of the Shadows, Ant Miles, Andy C. But more time, it's just like, wow, that sounds fat. How do you get it sounding that good? Or where's that snare drum from?
Yeah.
It's nerdy little things like that. But I think all the tunes that we would have coveted and thought, I wish I'd have made that tune, those are the tunes that we have tried to emulate and forged our own sound.
Okay.
I think the thing about production and making music is not so much just instrumentation, guitar and piano or whatever, but when you're making dance music and quite strange, new sounding electronic stuff, especially when you're a novice, you hear something you like and you try and emulate it. And you never will. And the weird shit you do trying to make that, you come up with something new and that becomes you.
Okay.
And I think just by trial and error, and after a while you eventually find your own.
Do you ever find have you ever listened to someone else's tune and go, bastards, you've completely. Is there such thing as a copyright of like a bass? Beats or
you mean if
like
someone's stolen shit from our records?
Yeah. So like,
oh yeah, of course. Yeah, sampling is rife. Sampling is what we're based on. So I can't think of any song names or anything now because we're talking and my mind's gone totally blank, but loads of great songs have sampled great records from the past, a James Brown record and an Aretha Franklin record, and made a big song out of it. When you do that, you have to go around the correct procedure of contacting the people who own the publishing and the recording. There's a long-winded way of doing it. But have there been occasions where I'm listening to a song and I hear someone's lifted a drum and put it straight in there? Yes, and they've had a phone call from me.
Really?
More time I know them. From our little world.
Yeah, of course.
But if someone tries to lift something and put it on their song, they have to usually get in touch, and otherwise it's a bootleg. And
okay.
But I mean, I understand that with like obviously lyrics and stuff like that. But is it really hard to like that sound was my sound?
Only if they could lift it from the record. So if you've got a drum and a bass playing at the same time over it, you can't get the clean sound. You're going to have the drums under it, so you can't really use it in your own thing.
Yeah.
But if there's a section of the tune where it's just the bass noise on its own, and someone could take that and then reuse it, then if you could prove, I guess, that you've made it from scratch, from when it wasn't a sound, if you will, then yes, you have some legs to stand on. But I guess sampling and borrowing stuff from each other is pretty rife in music. And if you want to maybe do it to someone, and you let someone do it to you, and back and forth.
This is another one. How do you know? Because even just looking at that, I know a few people that make sort of just as a hobby make some music. But when they when I'm looking at that, like, how do you know when a tune's finished?
You don't. You never know when the tune's finished until your manager says to you, right, if we don't hand this in within the next day, we are fucked.
Is that literally somebody out from the outside coming and saying, stop messing about with the snare noise, stop twisting that knob, just fucking
pretty much.
Yeah, stick it down.
There's two of us, so often that's the beauty about partnership as well. Is one of us can be like, all right, we're good. We're good here. Honestly, because you can go backwards. Yeah. You can get somewhere.
Or it too much.
Yeah, and start changing it.
Yeah,
And the next thing you know, it's not what it was. And then you go back and listen to version 1, and that's amazing. And you're on version 67.
Oh,
for fuck's sake.
You changed it too much.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
I like that. And you sort of touched on stuff then about people making music and like finding your own way there. But what advice would you give to any producers trying to get their music heard? That's from Edgar Fig.
Well, in 2017, it's a different world to when we started making music and sending it out there. It's a very digital world these days, and all the youth are very lucky to be able to make music basically even on their phones today. You can make it in so many great ways, and high quality production, get high quality samples. So there's a whole world of places to find samples out there, and buy legitimate samples, obviously, in software, and it's very affordable these days. Anyone can get going. It depends on the music you make. Obviously, social media is a good place to interact with some artists. Like a lot of the rappers and grime guys are all on there. Everyone's on there, but they are very, very good on social media. A lot of link-ups you see these days are very genuine. So you have Drake and Skepta and Drake and Giggs, and they are friends. Yeah, it's not a case of a label man saying, "Yo, you want to get him with so-and-so? He's big in London." It's like, fuck that, man. I'll fuck with them. I like him. Let me reach out. And they link up, they drink, they smoke, they get on, and that's how their link has been made. In terms of like, if you're making drum and bass music and you want to get music sent over to Chaser Status or to an Andy C, we all have social media places, and we can all accept DMs and so on and so forth. So it's quite a good place to get instant, hopeful feedback from your idols and so on and so forth. But these days, a great place for new musicians or producers who've got no links, no idea of anything. I think it really can be a case of SoundCloud's a fantastic place to get your things up there. And it sounds cliched, but YouTube has so much. This is where the kids these days listen to a lot of music.
Absolutely,
YouTube is a great place to start. Maybe get a nice video done for it on the cheap these days. A smart thing to do as well is to get yourself an artist account set up on Spotify. Reach out to the powers that be there. Spotify is one of the biggest places for streaming music, as is Apple Music. And if you get an artist page up there and start getting just get your foot in the door, basically, it's impressive to see a new artist send you information about their Apple Music page, their Spotify page, their SoundCloud, and the quality is paramount. So don't Don't just do something and say to someone, "Hey, bro, I'm sending you this. It's not great. Let me know what you think." I already think it's shit. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's the Conor McGregor thing. This is the best music you're ever going to hear in your life. If you don't hear it, you're a fucking idiot. I'm like, I better listen to this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Listen to this. It's the fucking best. You're like, this is fucking shit.
Exactly. So have confidence in your convictions. And my biggest bit of advice would be get your level up to a high standard where you think, if you heard this from someone else, you would be like, wow, that sounds good, as yourself. And then you start sending your music out. I think, entry level is key. Aim high, enter high, and good luck.
Nice. I was saying to Brad when we were walking down here, because we were talking, and I'll ask it two ways, but there's when we set up, he did Winter Warrior, which I was on, which was about a year ago. And my walkout tune was "Blind Faith" by Chasing Status. So
thank you.
Okay, also tell him your name.
The Abomination. That was it. He saw me fight and said, "That's your nickname from now on." But I walked out to. But I was glad. Thank you, man, because this is the other thing. We set up a little Spotify group for our little team, and Chasing Status was quite a heavily.
It's a good gym one.
It's good running one. It's good mentally as well. Like just to get you focused and give you sort of that extra bit of energy when it's early morning runs or whatever else. But who you watch fight has anyone walked out to one of your tunes? And you got
Paul Craig from
Scottish Hit Squad.
Yeah. He comes out to one of our songs called Alive, which was great to see.
Paul Craig, big up the Bear Jew. Love Paul Craig. Yeah.
Things I am actually an actual Jew. I'm not sure if he is an actual Bear Jew. I'm hairy enough to fall into that category myself, so I'm definitely a Bear Jew.
Maybe we could sign that fight up then. There we go for name rights.
And I'm not getting tapped out in 10 seconds.
I'll train you.
Great. We'll do that.
We last a minute.
We'll do that.
So anyone else? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what? I feel. And the boys are going to be pretty annoyed with me now, but a couple of boys from Cage Warriors.
Oh, really?
There's also, what's his name? Brendan, who was on...
Lockname.
Yeah.
Brendan Lockname, good mate.
He comes out to Song of Ours called Time. Yeah, he should be back in the UFC, 100%.
Yeah, he fought on a commentator for ACB.
Yeah, a tough fight that one. Tough fight. I didn't think that was right, actually.
No, it was so great.
He looked great in that.
He looked great.
He was never going to get the
So I was...
It's unfortunate.
But the size difference was nuts.
Yeah,
the size
it
difference.
Was incredible.
I stood behind him, so they did the face-to-face weigh-ins in the evening, and he turned around to me and he went, "I'm going to featherweight." But Pat Healy cut a crazy amount of weight for that fight.
Come on, man. He used to fight the UFC as well.
To be honest, he was getting lit up.
He was in the first round.
It's just like two different skill levels.
First round, totally different skill levels. But then in the second and third, Pat Healy gave him no space. And like even when they stepped off from a clinch, he would be right in his face again. Yeah. But it was such a close decision.
It was a real close that one.
I love Brendan. Brendan's so talented, and he should have been in the UFC 2-3 fights ago. I think back that way.
But also talking about him fighting Paddy or trying to get that sorted out.
Yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah, we'll see if it goes down. See what happens. That'd be good, wouldn't it? And that's right.
That's Mane and Liverpool.
Yeah. That'd have to be. That'd have to be up there. What else? And this that's the last questions. Then we'll do shenanigans before we finish up. Thank you again for the time, man. This is awesome. This is from James Harrison. Would you write an intro for the Opiate the One Punch podcast as the one that they use does my head in?
Yeah, I'm sure that could be arranged.
Where did you rip that one off?
But what we got to do is I'll do the singing, you do the rapping. How about that, mate? Yeah, you up for a bit of studio time?
Rapping or like?
No, mate. You can rap. Come on, let's. Yeah.
The lyrical miracle.
That's right. Yeah. So look,
stick to fighting, boys.
Yeah, we'll stick to that.
I'm retired from that. I'm trying to find something else now.
We could get you in there.
Coaching.
Oh no, this wasn't. There's another one here. What music guilty pleasures do you have that you'd care to admit?
For me, none of it's guilty. Yeah, I like everything I like.
Yeah.
Music.
See, I went to Phil Collins' concert recently, the Albert Hall. That's one of my favourite nights.
That's a great tune.
When
dude,
at the weigh-in, when Floyd come out to In the Air Tonight, I said, you know what, Rude Boy, big up. So
I racked that up in the gym. Down the gym.
That's a great tune.
I'm a big fan of the 80s and everything to do with it, so there's no guilty pleasures here.
And also, when you saw Mike Tyson do that, what was it in The Hangover when he.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Boom.
Incredible, yeah.
Awesome.
Easy Lover, Phil Collins, Phil Bailey is one of my favourites.
Tune.
And it's a guilty pleasure to some, but not to me.
And this is a question, actually, it's one more. I'm trying to squeeze mine in there because. So, how do you find the people to collaborate? And we'll talk about your album because you've got Bugsy Malone on there.
Yep.
You've got
we've got Kano on there.
yeah.
We've got Mr. Vegas on there. We've got Section Boys on there.
I love Section Boys.
We've got Emily Sandé on there. We've got Tom Grennan on
to
there.
the names you're calling as well.
Got
Does it pinch you?
FX.
Do you go to them? Do they come to you? How's that work?
In terms of working on our record, it's always just links. People we know, people we've got to know, people we're fans of and friendly with. And all the new talent we work is because we have heard them, we love what they're doing. And usually it's like we hear a voice or something, we're like, this voice is spectacular, we need to work with them.
Yeah, Liam Bailey.
Yeah, for
Dude.
instance. And the Maverick Sabre off the same album.
Yeah,
just like, and we hear voices as instruments and see how we could put them into places where they might normally go. So we like taking the people and putting them taking them out of their comfort zone and putting them on something completely different. On our last album, Brand New Machine, we had a song with Pusha T called Machine Gun, and it's a really aggressive, like dubsteppy trap dance tune. You know, it's a carnage, kind of goes off. You play it, you know, big reaction. And never in a million years would he have written his lyrics over that because it's fucking nuts. To write lyrics to. So we wrote like just a hip hop beat at the same tempo for him, which he really liked, and he just wrote a song on that. Yeah, we just took lyrics and made something around it.
Wow, what was his reaction to it when he heard it all together?
It's dope, man. It's like, man, a few words, but he came out and toured with us a couple of years ago and did it with us, and it was amazing, man.
What's
really
it like
cool.
hanging out with the Section Boys?
Yeah, they're cool, man. They're a bit younger than me, but they like to smoke. I like to smoke. So we have quite an easy day. The thing is, the sessions with those boys is...
Well, that's where they're based.
They're South London.
South London.
They're from CR7. There's a whole movement coming from South. From all the Croydon guys doing a lot right now. But it was a long session with them, not because they're long, but there's like 6 of them. Okay, so you got 6 people writing lyrics. 6 people unhappy with what they've done, want to do it again. You know, perfectionists always strive to do more. So it was a great session. They're good guys. So in answer to your question, most people like the Kanos of this world, we worked with him on our first album, and we just stayed really close. He's having a great couple of years, nice. And he's
Bugsy as well. Let's mention him. Bugsy Malone's on this one, and I love the track. It's like a reggae feel track, isn't it? I was listening to it on the way in. He's growing in Manchester. He's got that big thing. He's of Tanker. There you go. He supports Tanker and
we lived in Manchester for 6 years, so Manchester's like very close to our hearts. Yeah. And when we had a session with Bugsy, we just thought that we were going to basically write some balls to the wall like crying banger. So like wheel up like stop like you know anarchy kind of record. He goes, you know what, man? I love that Blind Faith tune of yours, you know. I was like, He goes, yeah. I'd love to do something like musical with you. And obviously, Bugsy.
You sound like you did Manchester perfectly.
It's not quite. Bugsy knows if he ever sees this, he knows his love. I just loved doing the accent, and he said, let's do something like that, you know. So we just got the guitars, and the next thing we know, we're making some kind of dubby reggae beat. And he goes, yeah, I love that one. Right, let's go. And we would never in a million years thought we were going to do some dubby reggae infused track with Bugsy. Yeah. And it was amazing, the session, and see how it turned out. And those kind of things are magical moments, you know. We have had surreal moments where we've worked on 4 or 5 of Rihanna's records. Wow. We worked with her. We had lots of tracks on her albums. And to start with, that was quite surreal. The first session was like 2009, and me and Will turned up into a room, us and shitloads of pretty big names, and they're playing our weird music, and they're like, yo man, what the fuck, and they're like interested, and very quickly though she stops being Rihanna, this multi-million platinum selling artist, and she just becomes Rihanna, cool girl. So what have you got? And next thing you know, it's just totally normal. You know, you just have to be totally normal with people.
It's almost, I get that with fighters now, so it's still when I still pinch myself that I get to meet or see or commentate on some fighters that I've watched for years before, but then within an instant they become
and he
human.
gets to sit next to one of his favourite guys.
It's true, mate. It's true.
I mean, this is the real honour for me as well. You know, on the same vein. I've been a fan for a long time, and it's a real honour to be a part of this and just to be ingratiated. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Right, so what we're going to do next, before we sign off, we're going to do, well, first of all, tell us what's the album called, where can people get it, usual places, all that sort of plug-in stuff.
I'm Saul from Chase and Status. Our new album Tribe is out now. It's available iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, Spotify, and all that good shit.
Buy it, do it.
Stream it, steal it, whatever you want. Have a listen.
Just listen to
Check
it.
it out.
Just check it out. So what we'll do next is shenanigans. So wait there, and we'll do that in 1 second. Magic, we're back. So shenanigans, you'll have never played this before, my friend. This is an interesting game we do on the podcast where I will give you 4 news stories. 2 of the news stories are totally made up by my imagination, and 2 are real. What you have to decipher, and you've been on a bad run recently, haven't you, mate?
It's hard. With what's going on lately, it's hard. It's going to be difficult.
It's good. So what you have to decipher is what is the bullshit and what are the true stories. So what are shenanigans and what are not. So I'll give you the stories. Your track record, you've been down.
No, I only lost the last one.
And the one before that. Don't forget that, mate. Don't forget your back-to-back losses now.
0 and 2 at the minute.
Oh, it's 0 and 4.
No,
0 and 4.
no,
0 and 4.
whoa.
Come on.
Whoa,
Come on.
no.
Let's rewatch. The good thing about podcasts, mate, is that they're in the internet and we can just re-listen to them. We can check out that record for sure. So shenanigans. Let's start. I've tried to mix them up a little bit. Shenanigans. A 32-year-old man from Southend has been hospitalised with severe anal trauma after allegedly trying to force a poo just minutes before weighing in at a local Slimming World meeting.
That's false.
What is it?
Ridiculous. I mean, that is just fucking ridiculous.
A 32-year-old man from Southend has been hospitalised with severe anal trauma after allegedly trying to force a poo just minutes before weighing in at a local Swimming World meeting.
It's bullshit because no one's going to write down poo in the paper. So you fucked yourself on that. Can we agree is it bullshit?
No, you can hear the others first. You can hear the others first.
God.
Okay, so next up, a 23-year-old man who suffered from pica syndrome. Pica syndrome is a disorder where it's typically defined as a persistent ingestion of non-nutritive substances like cardboard and plastic. Died in therapy after his counsellor finally convinced him to eat a Snickers bar, not knowing he had a nut allergy.
That is true. That's going to be true.
So that's the
These are all fucking ridiculous. If you are making these up, you have another career in making up weird things.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll bring it down to earth. So, a steakhouse in New York has added a man-up tax of 15% to any men who order vegetarian meals in their establishment.
That's got to be true.
That's it.
That sounds legitimately true.
Okay, so we've had Southend poo, we've had pica nut allergy, and steakhouse. The final one, a rogue.
You can't laugh before you say it.
I know.
Sorry, a rogue seagull. You have to budge your nose to the camera a little bit.
This sounds like creative writing back at school. You know,
it's good. I spent a lot of time on my own. A rogue seagull ripped off a man's right testicle as he sunbathed naked in his back garden. It's in Suffolk, if you wanted to ask that. So you've got the ones. These are your 4 stories. You've got 30 poo in Southend, severe anal trauma.
I'm going to go false to that one as well.
Okay. The
I'm
pica.
go false, true, false.
Okay. Pica is the second one. So the guy with an eating disorder died of a nut allergy in therapy.
True.
Steakhouse in New York, 15% man-up tax.
Definitely true, 100%.
And then the rogue seagull ripping off a man's testicle. So you're both doing the same. So
Testicle one sounds ridiculous enough to be because the delivery was short.
Oh, you're doing what Brad does now. Now you're thinking. Now you're thinking about it. So, what are you going for? You got.
I'm gonna go what I say. I say.
He's saying false, true, false.
False, true, false.
Okay, and what are you saying?
I'm gonna. I have to pick one, so I'm gonna go for the same.
You're going the same.
Well, no, really, the Tesco one could be true because it's ridiculous enough to be. Well, wait. Was it better? Okay, fine. Fine. We're on the same score. Okay. We're in this together.
You're on the
same
score.
What was he doing? Was some of him naked? I mean, fine. Do what you like.
He's overanalyzing.
Look at this. I love it. So, what I will tell you is that the steakhouse in New York that has added a man-up tax of 15% is a shenanigan, totally made up, which means
that was really
one of the ones you are saying was false is true. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. The testicle one is true.
Okay. So
it's got to be.
A 32-year-old man from Southend has been hospitalised with severe anal trauma after allegedly trying to force a poo just minutes before a weigh-in at a local swimming world meeting. Is true.
Fuck off. What paper wrote poo?
Southend. The South got the
Gazette.
article here.
Southend Gazette.
Southend Gazette. I think you're bang on there. Where are we? Let me find it. So you are
disgrace.
Wait a second. Let's see. So yeah, man hospitalised, collapsed rectum after forcing out poo before slim well weigh-in. That's the Southend. Yeah, there we go. And
who's the author?
This,
he needs to get called out for that.
Just for saying poo. You're more upset about. You're not upset about the anal trauma. In fact, the article's hilarious because
I don't know how that makes the papers. I mean,
Slimming World. Slimming World.
Who cares?
Slimming World has come out and
it's
said
like cutting weight.
They've put a warning to people because they're saying don't stress yourself with that. Fecal matter is surprisingly light, so it wouldn't make that much difference to your weigh-in. But let me just wait a second. Half a key. According to witnesses, he was desperate. Witnesses.
He's watching you having shit.
It was at Check It last night before weighing in at the Sean Go to Sports and Social
Club.
Club.
The Daily Mail.
He was heard make a number of growling noises before letting out a huge shriek. Let's see. Suddenly he started screaming. When the ambulance arrived, and knew straight away his rectum had fallen out.
His rectum had fallen out.
Full prolapse. Okay, so that means we've got two left. Wait a second.
Well, these are both correct.
No, because that's true. That one I've read's true. So you've got this now 50-50. So the pica and the seagull. So, a 23-year-old man who suffered from pica syndrome died in therapy after his counsellor convinced him to eat a Snickers bar, not knowing he had a nut allergy is false. It's a shenanigan.
Good.
So there we go. Made that shit up.
We're 100% wrong.
You're 100% wrong. The rogue seagull that ripped off a man's right testicle as he sunbathed naked in his backyard.
So
my overthinking was correct.
There you go. Yeah. On the
seagull.
It's just the right bollock.
Thief.
Experts.
Okay.
Experts say the fearsome bird mistook the man's exposed privates as a couple of birds' eggs and dropped in for a tasty snack. Apparently, he woke up watching the bird fly.
He was asleep.
He was laying sleeping in his thing.
Right.
That'll definitely wake you up.
So that means, there we go. Shenanigans claims 2 victims in one go.
I thought I'd be alright. I had a partner with me.
Oh, mate, that was good. That was good. So that's your first. Look how frustrated you
I knew. I told you that. I told you the ball thing, though. I knew that one.
Oh dear. So look, that's it from us. We'll catch up. We'll be back next week.
One thing. Are you going to Cage Wars?
Yes.
16th September the 16th, the same night as the Triple G Canelo fight.
The real fight that night.
The real fight is Nathan defending his belt. Nathaniel defending his belt.
Yeah. And Corin Eaton, don't forget, he's fighting.
Corin on that card.
Taking on Dean Truman as well. So that's getting close, mate. How's he looking? Actually, I know how he's looking because I met you today, and I could tell you've been sparring because you've got bruises all over.
Yeah, I mean, like I decided to give him a couple of rounds today. Wish I never.
Yeah.
Nah,
why would you, mate?
I'm retired for a reason.
That's right. That's it.
He's like full of beans. He's the champ. I'll just come out. I'll give it. I'm like, all right, get away from me. Nah, he's
ready.
He's being impressive.
Great. His last couple of fights.
Yeah.
So the fight. Come on, Vaughan Lee looked amazing in that. Came out, especially after that tough first round, and he broke Vaughan Lee's arm as well with a kick. So that's the second arm he's broken in 2 fights. And then that last fight, the undefeated, was he Swedish or Icelandic?
He's really
good.
Yeah,
he's genuine, and he just battered him.
I mean, me for Nathaniel, he's always had a lot of skill, and like obviously without using no pun intended, he's called the prospect, but you see he was always talented. He had a lot of prospect. But I think what's actually changed for him is his mindset, like he's real confidence, and sometimes confidence is key.
Oh, totally.
He's walking around with a bit of a swagger. He gets everything out. He gets the social media side of things, networking now, and he just knows how to sell himself.
Yeah,
and he's looking great in training. Everything's just
and
kind of
he's showing up on the fights as well. That's good.
That's good. He has a good mentor.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think you've been a massive
since
part
I've retired. He's been smoking, guys.
Rub your ego, but genuinely, I think having that little bit of extra attention and someone like you guiding him through all that, I think that's made a big difference.
I can't take credit for all his work, man.
Take it, mate. Take it. Come on, you are the Cage Warriors champion. That's it.
But I think it must be those slaps I give him before. I'll take it away from his dad.
Have you seen that? Have you seen the slaps he gives him before he gets? What the fuck? Honestly,
it's the
you
best
mark
thing.
him up more than.
Mate, that's the only time I get to hit him.
That's it. Dear. Right. Well, look. Thank you very very much. Thank you again, my
Thank you
friend.
for having me,
Best
guys.
of luck
Thank
with all
you,
the
man.
album and all
Thank
that
you.
sort of stuff. Tribe, get it, check it out, listen to it. Do us a favour as well. Go on iTunes, stick some rates and reviews on iTunes. Follow us on social media as well at @1_punch for Mr. Pickett, at Brian Lacey MMA, Brian with a Y. Where can they catch you? At Chase and Status. That's all one word everywhere. You got your own one, but you kind of, you're all through Chase and Status now. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Cheers.